It's a Terrifier Christmas. Let the horror fill your heart. You hear footsteps, that's not Santa. It's a jolly clown named Art. He's a Miles County legend with a smile that brings a chill. On a journey to outdo himself and top his latest kill. He'll melt your face with acid. He'll saw you clean in half. He'll peel the flesh right off your bones and shut with a silent laugh. It's a Terrifier
You're listening to the Drinks in a Movie podcast, hosted by Rudy Ruiz. Spoiler alert.
Yo, what's up, everyone? Welcome to Drinks in a Movie podcast. Thank you for tuning in. Today, Carissa and I are going to be talking about Terrifier 3, directed by Damien and Leone. But before we get into the movie review, I'm going to be solo here, talking about the brand new Sagamore Spirit 9-year-old. So this is that Maryland-style rye from Sagamore Spirit, of course, now 9 years old. Very excited for this one. I was lucky to get this fairly recently. They just started popping up around Southern California, and it's coming in at 112.6 proof. Now, if you know me, you know I'm a gigantic fan of Sagamore Spirit. I have like a wild amount of their bottles. I've got the 8-year batch 1 and batch 2, which I'm actually going to compare it against. I am going to do a little side-by-side with the 8-year-old batch 2. And yeah, they just crush it. Every time they release something, it's just always amazing. I saw that they've got a new bottled and bond coming this year, which is now 7 years old. And I love every single one of their bottled and bonds that I've had. I try to keep up and get them every single year. They're, exceptional. But yeah, here we go. I'm so excited. This is one of the whiskeys that come out this year that I've been most excited to try. So here we go. I may have poured a little bit too much, but so I just broke the seal. This has only had maybe a couple minutes to sit and open up. So I'm going to give it a little extra swirl here. But yeah, here we go. Sagamore Spirit 9. Yeah, not getting too much off the nose yet. Wow, now that alcohol is kind of coming out. Of course, the rye, definitely get that black pepper. Maybe a little bit of a, let me see, is that allspice? Yeah, definitely get a little bit of that allspice. Yeah, it's dark. It seems dark and rich, like allspice. Maybe a little touch of cinnamon, black pepper. Kind of struggling to get anything else right now. Well, let's go in for the taste. Here we go. Cheers. That's very dark. Very rich. A lot of clove. Definitely a lot of clove. Like it's more on the spicy end. Some allspice. Right now, I'm not getting a lot of sweetness. I'm using that nosing kit, by the way, so I'm kind of going back and forth. So that's helping me out decipher some of these flavors. But yeah, clove, allspice, the rye, a little bit of an herbal tea note. It is very good. Very good. I was expecting a little more of a sweetness with the age, maybe a little bit more of a sweetness punch. Like I remember the 8-year, I get like a lot of like a brown sugar kind of vibe off it that I like. This is very much more spice forward, very rich. The mouth feels really good. It like lights up the tongue with flavor immediately. You get a nice hug on the finish. And the finish goes into more of like, there's in the nosing kit, like herbal tea. This is one of the little canisters in here. And I feel like I get some of that on the way down here. So now I'm actually, what's the proof on this again, by the way? So this one was 112.6 proof. So now I'm going to compare it with the Sagamore Spirit 8-year batch 2. That is 111.4 proof. So let's see how this stands. I haven't drank this one in a while. Yeah, way lighter on the nose. But this one, I mean, the bottle isn't very low. There's only maybe like an inch off the top from this one. So, but it definitely has obviously had more airtime to kind of mellow out. But yeah, let's just taste it. Yeah, this one has a sweeter vibe to it. Maybe like a hint of honey, a little bit of brown sugar, tiny bit of vanilla, a little more balance with those same spice notes, but more sweetness to balance it out. No, definitely that's consistent. It's not as kind of rich and punchy as the 9 year is. I'm going to go back to the 9. Yeah, the 9 is definitely more spicy, more punchy. I can even feel it like in my nose a little bit, my nasal cavity by comparison. Now I'm starting to get like a little hint of like a mint on the back end, just a little bit. I don't like when the ryes are like too minty. That kind of turns me off a little bit, but I'm getting just a little hint of that on the 9 year. But yeah, it's very good. I mean, if you see it and you're a fan of rye, I think it's one to get, especially if you like them kind of punchy and spice forward. This is definitely that. I mean, we'll see how it opens up over time, but I think I don't know. It depends on the day. I think I might prefer the 8 year a little bit more, but again, we'll see how this opens up over time. And I mean, they're neck and neck, you know, it just kind of depends on the mood at that point. Do I want a little more sweetness on one night, or do I want a little more like spice and a little more kick? You know what I mean? It just depends on the day. Yeah, I just went to the 8. Yep. That's good. Do the 9 one more time. Yeah, that 9 year is a real heavy hitter in the sense of like how it works the palate. Now I'm getting a little bit of like an apricot note on the back palate and on the finish, which is really nice. So a little bit of like a fruit sweetness that I wasn't expecting, but yeah, that's a hell of a pour. You know, if you see it in your area, and again, if you like rye, definitely pick it up. I mean, that's a good one. You can never go wrong with Sagamore. If you like rye whiskey, Sagamore is the way to go. So if you haven't tried any other stuff yet, then, you know, go get yourself some. But yeah, anyway, that's it for the whiskey review. Now let's get into the movie. We're talking about Terrifier 3. Happy Halloween.
You survived the most famous serial killer since Jack the Ripper. The 5-year anniversary is coming up. I think a lot of people would really like to hear from you after all this time. Want to know what it's like to be in the presence of that kind of evil. What goes through your brain when he's close enough to you. You feel his breath. Saw him today.
Who? How can you be sure it was really him?
I could feel it.
Who is this Santa? He's scaring my kid.
Yeah, he's scaring me too.
Hey, Santa's handing out presents!
Why would he come back here? Even if he was alive, which he isn't. Wouldn't you want to get as far away from here as possible, as far away from you?
We both know this isn't over. I have to go back to the Terrifier.
Yo, what's up, everyone? Drinks in a Movie podcast. We are here, the finale of our spooky season series of horror movie episodes. We are recording this at some point, but you will be hearing this on Halloween. I'm going to post this on Halloween. So
nice.
Happy Halloween, everybody.
Happy Halloween.
I hope everyone has a great, safe time. I'm pretty sure I'm just working all day, so I'll be doing that. Or maybe I'll ditch work and I'll go to, I know New Beverly Cinema is doing a double feature of Trick or Treat, and I forgot the other movie it's double billed with, but I'm going to go try and catch that. If it hasn't sold out already. I bet you it's already sold out.
Of course, it's Halloween. I'm working. So you can come step on my job if you want to come for a drink.
Oh, you know what? Maybe I will. I don't know, man. Sometimes they just get like way too.
That's the thing. Anam and WeHo. It's going to be, it's going to be a nightmare.
Dude, this upcoming Monday and Tuesday, man, I wish I could go. New Beverly is doing Quatermass and the Pit, which is the Quatermass movie that Alec Gillis was telling us about.
Yeah.
So I almost ordered that Blu-ray just because he was talking about it. Man, I wish I could go see it. It's double with Prince of Darkness, actually.
Oh, snap. That's crazy.
Yeah. Oh, today they did a double bill of Long Legs and The First Omen. That must have been a lot of fun. That's a good double feature. I don't necessarily want to see Long Legs again, but that would have been kind of cool.
I really liked The First Omen. I went and saw it.
Yeah. No, I thought it was good. I remember I saw it just because you had mentioned it to me, and it was worth it.
It was a good one. It was a good movie.
But yeah, what are we talking about again? Oh, yes.
Terrifier 3. Oh, my God.
We're here. You did it. You saw the movie.
I took a first time horror watcher to it. People walked out of the theater, by the way.
No, you were not in one of those theaters. Really?
Two girls walked out. Two girls walked out at a certain point, and I'll tell you where that point was. But yeah.
Oh shit! Yeah, I can't wait.
I was like, dang, it's going down.
So, all right, let me give the synopsis real quick and then we'll talk about that. So I'm just going to read it off of IMDb. I'm just curious what it has to say. So Art the Clown is set to unleash chaos on the unsuspecting residents of Miles County as they peacefully drift off to sleep on Christmas Eve. Well, essentially what we have is we're 5 years after part 2, assuming everyone has seen the first 2 movies and you've listened to our podcast. We're 5 years later, so we're back with our main characters and how they've kind of dealt with it. Now it's the Christmas season. We get this really great, I guess this would be like the cold open where he goes to that family. And so, what's your take on that?
I mean, listen, everybody's got to start listening to the kids when they tell you something's up. You got to start listening to a man. Wow. I mean, it was great. I thought it was a great opening. When you told me before I saw this, when you're like, the kids aren't safe in this either, I was like, oh, and like, the little boy gets killed. I was like, oh, okay. But they didn't show him, they didn't really show that. And they didn't show the little girl. So I was like, oh, okay, off screen, but we'll get to that later. But I was like, oh, all right. But I loved how they kind of, did that. And then they did the jump back. It was fun. The first kills, fun. I mean, they just jumped in right away to let everybody know what was up.
Yeah, no, it's a great opening. And then just with that whole Christmas setting is brilliant. Those vibes. The part that I found really funny that I mentioned yesterday when we recorded the other episode, and I wondering if you'll know what I'm talking about, is after, he kills the mom and the dad and that little boy, the girl hasn't found him yet or hasn't come out yet.
Yeah.
And it's because he eats the milk and cookies, right? And after he kills them, he's like washing the dishes. Which I thought was just like,
dude, that's the thing.
I think I was the only one in the theater who laughed, though.
No, this time, everybody in the theater was laughing at appropriate times. Even Ben was, like, my boyfriend. He was just like, this is so like, he's like such a funny, there's parts in this that are just so funny. Yeah. And just so ridiculous that you can't help it. But yeah, when he's washing the dish with his bloody gloves, it's just, oh my God.
You just murdered this poor family, but you're going to like take care of their plates.
What a gentleman. What a gentleman.
I did like that, we got even more into the lore here a little bit, like a little more. And not too much, not like all this extra stuff, but we get a little more information on like the whole Victoria thing and, a little more of the supernatural element and how there's this demon that's like a driving force for Art, but possessed Victoria. And they want to take over. Oh my God, I'm forgetting her name right now. Sienna. That was really interesting. And I like how it picked up right where that like post credits kind of scene was in part 2. How we pick up there at the asylum.
I was trying to lean over and explain to what was going on because I'm like, well, if you didn't see the first one, you're going to sit there and be like, or if you didn't see the second one, you're going to sit there and be like, who the hell are all these people? Like, what is going on? You're not going to understand why Art doesn't have a head. Oh my gosh. And can I say, I love how when the police officer goes and they find Art's like decapitated body and then he decapitates the police officer and like uses his head to yeah. It was like that. That's great. Like that was like a great way to get to where he needed to go. You know what I mean? I was like, brilliant. It was like such a smart thing.
Well, and for the first time, we see also where his little home base is, because in the first movie, and we see it a little bit in the second movie, it opens up like the first one with the TV on the floor, and there's like a table with all the tools and weapons in this like weird place, but you never know where any of that's at. And then now we see them go to this like old abandoned house in the middle of nowhere, and it's like, oh, this is like his place.
It's his house. And I love how they did that. Like, they go and like, man, that entire thing though, I was trying to continue.
Well, like when they're on the train too, and that guy's dressed as him, And he's like, oh, you did such a good touch with the blood and all that.
Oh my, he's like, oh, I was thinking about it, but the cleanup. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is so awful.
Yeah, that poor bastard. But, and I like that they don't explain this, like we get the whole demon kind of explanation later, they open that up, but they leave a lot for like a future movie. Yeah, I think even more than the second one did, probably. Like they open up a few more doors here. But I like that he just goes to that chair, by the way. And it's almost like Michael Myers kind of thing where it's like he just sat and he waited for this night for 15 years. And it's that kind of thing. Right? Yeah, he just sits at the chair and he just kind of like chilling there looking out the window. She slits her wrist and goes in the tub and they just like, we're like, 5 years later now. Yeah.
Dude, I thought like she killed, like I was like, oh dang, she's dead. Like, oh man. But okay, another funny part too that I love when like Art gets annoyed with her and he like looks over like she's like the annoying wife. He's like,
yeah, when he's honking the horn in his face.
Yeah. Yeah. He's like, stop it. I was just like, it's so funny. But yeah, when the construction guys come in to knock down the house 5 years later, and like he's covered in cobwebs and the one guy goes in and sees her in the bath. And I was like, oh my God, she's moving. She's not dead. Spoiler. She's not dead. I was like, that's so disgusting. And the way like the makeup in the bathtub and just, I loved it.
Yeah. Just rotten in there.
Like, I was trying to explain to, I was like, this is it's a pretty low budget movie. Cause he's like, it kind of, you can tell it's like a low budget movie.
Yeah, especially moments when they're like at the mall and you can tell it's a set and
the shopping room.
Yeah, it's like the bare minimum kind of setup.
Yeah.
I think it was around like 2 million, I want to say.
It was 2 million. And I was looking up articles and I was like, you don't understand. This is like blowing out all of the other scary movies. Right now, they're at almost $47 million.
Yeah.
In box office.
Yeah, I mean, it beat Joker, Folie à Deux, and The Wild Robot, like when it came out, like in the box office, which is great. Like that's unheard of. So that's another amazing thing about this movie, right? And the fact that it's purely fan driven and it's such an inspiration and it's incredible. And I'm thankful that as crazy as these movies are, violent as they are, I'm thankful that we have something like this. Cause this is one of those game changer type films. You know what I mean? So the first movie, $35,000 estimated budget. Okay. I think we talked about that when we covered it.
Yeah.
I want to say the second one was like 200K or something. I'm going to look that up real quick. 200 or 250K.
250, something like that.
Yeah. Somewhere in that zone. Let's see. Where are we at? Almost there. Come on. Yeah, 250K estimated. So now we go up to 2 million. And yeah, I think opening weekend it made like 18 because it came out the 11th. Yeah, it made 18 at that point, and it's still going strong. I think it like fairly recently dropped the number 4, but the fact that it was above Wild Robot and Joker, like Wild Robot, from what I hear, is actually pretty good, but like a family movie for everybody. Joker 2, one of the most anticipated sequels of the year, of the last few years, I'd say. Yeah, just crash and burned, right? And for this movie to come out and blow those out of the water while also being unrated. I don't remember the facts on this, but my understanding is that this is only the second movie that's been unrated to make that much money or whatever times the budget. Like that doesn't happen. Like if you're beyond rated R, like typically that's a death sentence, right? Like,
yeah.
And especially in the world of streaming now, like, man, thank goodness it's in theaters. Like it just wouldn't be the same if it just went straight to the streaming. Like think about how many different horror movies, especially that are violent like this, just go straight to not even a full streaming site, but are like relegated to Shudder. You know what I mean? Where that's the only place you're going to see it unless you go find that DVD or that Blu-ray. So it's pretty incredible what this has done. And I'm interested to see how it's going to impact the landscape moving forward, because it's not, it's only every once in a while we get one of these films that kind of changes things. And I think this might be that. Like this could potentially be like a historical moment in movies.
No, 100%. I can't think of like another time where, and that they were able to combine so much disgusting, gory, hard to watch. Just when she took the knife and Art was killing, and she's like up there.
Yeah.
And then after he like tisk her, and it, like everybody started laughing, and I'm just like, what the fuck is going on? You know what I mean? And like to be able to balance such like a funny tongue in cheek thing and so much gore and horror and like uncomfortable thing, like it's so hard to do. You know, when he had her tied up to the chair, when he had Santa tied up to the chair, and he walks by and just smacks the back of her head. I feel like it's
a few times,
funny.
like every time he walks by, it just hits her.
It's just funny, and it's not like, you know what I mean? I'm like, God, these are just such awful things to watch, but it's funny. Like he really just makes the character still likable, kind of somehow. Yeah,
that's what I was saying in my, if anyone saw the 10 horror performances we put out, that's what I was getting at with my pick of David Howard Thornton, is that physical performance. And I mean, of course, like besides the performance, it's also Damien Leone's directing and like creation of the character, like creating the vibe and that aesthetic. But yeah, to make him do these heinous things, but it's still just kind of humorous, Yeah. And it works. It's like you still, and while at the same time, you still feel stakes. It's not like I necessarily just want everyone to die. Like I want Sienna to make it. I want the brother to make it. Her little niece or whatever that kept like snooping around, she could have died. I would have been fine with that. Even though they used it as a device of like, her being nosy is what ended up kind of saving them. Whatever.
I was hoping. Yeah,
I just don't like people like that. I was hoping her skull was in the jar.
Dude, I thought she was, and I was hoping Michael was going to show up and save the day. You know what I mean?
The brother? Is it the brother? Yeah.
Wait. No, Jonathan. What's his name?
Jonathan, right? I think.
Jonathan. Yes. I thought Jonathan was going to show up and save the day.
Yeah. I was hoping for that. I thought
it was going to happen. And then I'm like, oh, well, dang. And oh my gosh. And I think one of my favorite scenes too, and this was everybody like flipped out in the movie theater again, because when he goes and he sees Santa for the first time and he's so excited, he's like, oh my gosh. And I think about this, I'm like, okay, he was so excited about Santa. Would it have gone downwards if, and then he takes the shot and he doesn't. I mean, obviously, Art the Clown is not drinking alcohol. He sprays it. He's like, what is this? Like, this is alcohol. Nasty. But I was like, it was just everybody started cracking up again. And I was just like, man, would it have gone down that like so badly if it went down badly like that? You know what I mean?
I think he would have killed them anyway. I think it was bound to happen.
I'm like, would he have killed them? But then he took out some guy's wallet, and that's him, right? Like, that's him.
The wallet was the or the ID was one of the construction guys that he killed.
Oh, was it? Because I wasn't sure, because I'm like, he took out this wallet and he's in this house, but they were saying like, oh, this house is haunted because a serial killer lived here. And then you remember when they were talking about the lore, and then like her brother Jonathan was like in the notes was like, oh, a demon can only get through if they're going through an evil person. And I thought that so they were saying like Art the Clown's body in this world was a serial killer.
Mm-hmm. And now
is that what they were saying? No? Yeah, that he's possessed by the demon, and he lived in that house, and that's why he goes back to that house that was getting demolished, because they said that he killed like 12 kids and hid them under the thing.
I don't remember that. I wish I got to see it again tonight, because I don't remember exactly what they said. I thought it was all just a joke. Like the dude's like, "You're fucking with me," and he's like, "Yeah, I just made that up." Isn't that what happened?
I took it as like, because he was like, "You're fucking with me," but then they heard something, so he never said he was or not. But then I was like, "Oh dang, that's why they go back to the house, because Art used to live there. He's possessed by this demon, and." The demon, because when Jonathan was writing those letters, he's like, the demon has to have, chooses somebody that's evil, just like him. And that's the only way he can get through. and then you're the good one.
Yeah, but the demon was also in the other chick in Victoria. Like
It's the
she
little
was the
girl
one
demon,
that's
right?
like maybe
So, yeah,
I don't even know.
I think they were saying that like Victoria now, because she has the little girl demon in her, right? Because remember the second one, there was like the little child demon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think that one's possessing her. And then the other one is Art the clown, but it's possessed by a demon. I don't know. I'm going to have to rewatch it because I think that's, and I was trying to pay attention, but I'm like, is this all this connected or am I just like reaching?
Yeah. I don't know yet. But the ID was what the guy that I think Demon Victoria killed. And I love that he just gives it to him and he's like, this isn't you.
He's like, whatever, it's Christmas.
Yeah, I referenced that scene in that same YouTube video we did. And yeah, that might be one of my favorite moments in the movie is him just interacting with the two customer. Clint Howard is one of them. Clint Howard and the bartender and then the Santa. I just thought was super funny. Like
that one was great. Yeah.
And yeah, all his acting through that. And I was genuinely sad to see like the Santa get killed, especially the way it happens with the liquid nitrogen.
That was awful.
that was brutal.
That was brutal. And I was just like, oh my God, like this is getting like that one was, I think, I know that we have a really bad one later, but that one was like real hard to watch. I was like, oh God. The eyes still moving, why the face?
Yeah, that shit was crazy.
And then, go ahead.
No, you go.
I also loved because it's like these little like that scene was unexpected. I don't know why I thought that he was gonna let Santa live. Obviously, he didn't. But then when they do go, and he does go to the mall, and he is handing out presents. I'm like, why is this guy handing out? I'm like, what is Art doing handing out presents? And they were like, stuffed animals and like this, that, the other. And I was like, oh, that's so wild. And then the kid was like, I wonder what I have. And he goes to open it. And it's a bomb. And it just blows up everybody. I was like, oh my gosh, I should have seen that coming. When he pulled out the gun, I was like, it's so unexpected that like these little things pop up that I forget. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Obviously something was going to go down, right? Like it was building up to something, but I did not think it was going to be a bomb. And that was the one moment where, and I'm not saying that was one moment where I did feel a little weird about that.
Okay. Is that the one that you're talking to me about? When you're like, there was a thing and I was like, I don't know if this was like
maybe
appropriate. We talked about it a while ago.
Maybe that probably was it where I was like, yeah, because on one hand, and I don't know, I almost feel weird like talking about it out loud, but on one hand, it's like, yeah, but then I'm like, is that where it went a little too far? Maybe like it just, or maybe it just because of the world we live in now, that's very commonplace that it's a little odd. I mean, I'm glad he hasn't caught any flack for it. And I'm kind of surprised, to be honest. I'm kind of surprised that there's not a bunch of articles and people talking shit about that particular scene.
Yeah.
And I guess it was done well and that it didn't show anything.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's still like, it's all like part of the fun, but I'm like, man, that I feel like if anything, that's the part that really is like teetering on the edge.
That's what I thought. I was like, ooh, this is definitely the scene that Rudy's talking about because it's unexpected and it has to do with the kids and it has to, yeah. I was like,
yeah, that was one thing too, when I said to you guys, when you were going to go the other day,
yeah.
And I was like, if you don't like kids getting whacked, kind of just know they're not safe without spoiling a lot. Just know that they're not safe. I'm not going to tell you what's happening, but
yeah,
but yeah, that was a gnarly, moment. But that Terrifier Christmas song, this happens during the chainsaw scene, which is another great moment. And I like that it's almost like a callback in a way to the first movie, like when the guy's on the floor trying to crawl away and he just like goes up. I just threw him. Except they linger on that close up a lot longer.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about it because I just saw this right now an hour ago. I'm just like, oh my gosh. And everybody in the theater was just like, right when it went through the butt and the back, and it was like, wow.
And the camera's just right there, and they give you just a couple extra seconds that you didn't get in part one.
Can I just say, like, another part that was really funny is when the girl before the scene was convincing the guy and Art was there, and she's like, well, I don't want to sleep with him. He's like, oh man, like, it's just so funny. And I'm just like, bro.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. He gets a lot more to do performance wise in this movie than the other ones so far. Like, they're really exploiting that aspect of his character in this. Like, between that moment, man, I almost forgot about that. Yeah, that moment and the Santa moment is just like, peak Art the Clown.
I think too, you have to, like, and that's what like Ben and I were talking about too, because I was like, what'd you think about the movie? He's like, man, he's like, if it wasn't, so tongue in cheek, and if he didn't have so many funny moments, I don't think I would be able to watch it. And I'm like, that's true. Because if you're not, it just feels like you're watching a bunch of like.
That's what people would used to. I think this would be under that. I used to hate when people say this torture porn. Even though it's not like, all right, there is a little bit of like sitting in chairs and getting that was the whole rap part with the pipe and all that was pretty crazy.
God, that was awful.
This would be under that like subgenre, I'll call it, even though I hate that like people used to say that. But yeah, no, I think that's a good way to put it. Is that's definitely what I think kind of separates it. Like, imagine if this had the tone of, I don't know, like In a Violent Nature, or like what's another just
or like Texas Chainsaw, like just very
or
grimy,
Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
You would be
like no humor whatsoever, just pure, just grit and grime and people getting chainsawed. Which, by the way, man, that whole like chainsaw kill scene in the shower. One, because showers are very vulnerable places, right? And they're just slipping and sliding around.
Yeah.
But there, I can't. The only other movie I can think of with like a crazy chainsaw part like that is Pieces. Did you ever see Pieces?
I don't think so. No. Is that when the person they're trying to put together the girl? No, I don't think I've seen it.
Well, it's from the 80s. I think it's like a Spanish director or whatever. And but anyway, yeah, someone gets chainsawed apart in like an elevator, and this is like the only movie I can think of that's like kind of top that. I mean, I'm sure there's other ones, but where you're like seeing it all go down, where he just like swiping at him with it and all that. Like peels her face off and shit. I love that he just like puts the sunglasses, because she's talking about too, like, what's it like to look in his eyes, like
look in his eyes and know what is it like? What does he see?
And I love, because he was listening to that, so I like that he like bends down and he takes the sunglasses off. And he just looks at her and then like puts them on her and just leaves her to,
and like boops her nose.
Yeah.
I'm like, and her nose is like split in half. Like, I'm just like, oh my gosh. I'm like, this is so awful. Oh my gosh. That reminds me, the opening scene when he's just ripping. I completely forgot about that. I think I blocked that from my memory. You're just ripping a guy's skull open.
Yeah.
Good time.
Oh yeah, when he like cuts him with the razor, right? And then just like peels his face off.
Peels it. I'm like, I looked at Ben. I was like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Sorry.
Great practical effects, though. We can at least appreciate that craft. And this was the first movie, of the three where Damien Leone didn't do the special effects himself. So since they had the bigger budget, I was listening to a good interview with him where they're asking him about like, oh, so, you get this big increase in budget. Where does that go? Like, where does that help the most? And he's like, honestly, like crew. He's like, just having other people helping out. He's like, in the first two movies, I direct, but I was doing all the makeup and everything. Like, I think it was him and another guy, like his friend that he does his little company with. But he's like, I'd have to like direct, but then go and get the mold and do all the makeup stuff and then come back. He's like, so I was like kind of split focus. And then when I'm not like shooting the movie, like there's all the prep before that.
Yeah.
To get all the like effects ready. And then this one, I forgot the name of the person they hired, but they hired another team. So they did all of it, which must be pretty cool. It makes me think of like doing the little short films and everything we do. And I'm like, God damn, I can't direct when I have to fucking move lights outside, you know, and all that stuff. So that's pretty cool.
I did like how Tom Savini made a cameo.
Yes.
I was like, what? This
well,
is so
I forgot about that. He was on the news, right? When they're talking about the mall stuff. That must have been great. Stuff like that makes me feel so good because you know that Damien Leone is just like a big horror film fan and like a huge, like, you know, obviously like special makeup effects. And so to get to this level where you're doing these movies and then you get to bring your heroes on to just like cameo on it must be so fun. Just so cool and full circle and all that.
I know. One day. But yeah, that one was a brutal kill. You know what that I noticed? And I'm like, why they didn't show Jonathan getting killed? So maybe he's not dead. I was thinking about that.
I wonder. I would be, because it does seem a little weird to do it off screen. It seems very.
I was like, why didn't they? Like, I understand
unceremonious.
They didn't show the guy getting killed either, the husband.
Yeah,
but like, and that's why I was like, was this all a dream sequence? Because like, she just wakes up, he's dead downstairs. Jonathan's head is in a cage supposedly. You know, Art's walking around smacking her in the head, and then like the demons talking through. God, poor what's her name?
Victoria.
Geez, poor Victoria really got the shit end of the stick, dude.
Yeah. I'm glad that she at least died and I guess is free now.
And burnt a hole into hell.
Dude, yeah, that's
Open
what
the gates to hell.
Crazy. Yeah. That whole situation. And I thought there was going to be a scene. I mean, I guess it's good because we probably don't necessarily need it. But when she's talking to Jonathan, and I really like their dynamic, I hope to see them work together so badly and it never quite happens. And he's trying to convince her, but she's trying to like not get involved. But then when she does have that moment when she's like, I got to go back to the Terrifier. Like we got to get, like I dropped it there. We got to go get it. So I thought there was going to be a scene of her going back and doing it. And for a moment I was, maybe I kind of missed that, but I guess it's probably unnecessary. I don't know what it would have entailed. But I like that she's kind of accepting the, not the fate, but accepting the duty of like, okay, maybe I am the antithesis, you know, to this thing and I need my weapon. And I really like those flashbacks too, like exploring the relationship with her father more. Mm-hmm. And man, that totally left me hanging. I thought that was going to get resolved in some way.
So
like,
I just
have, like, now I have more questions than I had before. So he did a really good job. And even the way it ended, where like there's the hole to hell or whatever, the girl fell in. I'm pretty sure she's not dead. Because we know
she's not. She's got the knife and everything.
Yeah, we know Sienna's gonna like go figure this out and go down there or something like some kind of crazy magical shit's gonna happen in the next movie. Yeah. And I love too, along with that, this is one of my favorite shots in the movie. Is that wide shot from outside of like the bus station? Like they the good guys lost, right? Mm-hmm. Things are screwed up. People are dead. Like Sienna didn't save the day. And then, you just cut to Art at the bus stop. just like,
sitting there, like a few Christmas lights, snow everywhere. Just waiting.
The bus comes in just with the garbage bag and just goes back to wherever. I love that you just see how he gets from place to place or whatever
by the bus or walking or just like a normal person. Yeah. But I do think it's going to be something with hell because the book that the lady was reading on the bus, it's like Ninth Circle of Hell.
Yeah, well, that was a reference to the original short film.
Yeah,
from All Hallows Eve. Yeah. That's what that segment was called. Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see where it goes. And man, I hope we don't have to wait a long time.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Because he turned this one like around pretty quick. And what did he have to say about it? But he wanted to do that like intentionally because there was a lot of time between the first movie and the second one.
Yeah.
So this one, I want to get it, out a little bit sooner, I guess, while the iron's hot. So I'm curious, how long it's going to be before we get another movie.
I wonder now that it's been so profitable, if it's going to like change, like get it, because he's definitely going to get a bigger budget for the next one. Look how much money this one made. I wonder if it's going to change anything or because I mean, even though he did have a bigger budget, it still felt and looked like, you know, a low budget movie, which I liked. I mean, because it is still low budget, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, for sure. Because I mean, and it's funny, right? Because it still goes to show like how even low 2 million is in a situation like that. Like, just think about that. But
insane. It's insane.
Yeah. You know, and I think I sent you this same interview. I'm pretty sure I sent you the link. But especially now that you've seen the movie, it's definitely worth watching because he talks about getting all the studio offers and like the shoulder tap and all that stuff, you know, prior to making this one, because the other two grew exponentially and were successful. But how he decided not to go the studio route, because he could have gone the big studio, like he could have gotten way more money for this. But it's that loss of control, right? Of like, okay, well, now you got a bunch of different people telling you how to do it. Like that whole bomb in the mall thing, that would never have happened if this was a studio movie. The chainsaw through the fucking guy's scrotum.
No way.
Like, would not have happened. Like, so many things would have been stripped down and it just would have been a shell of its former self, you know? So mad respect to him. Like that's artistry and that's some real filmmaking shit right there, man. Like to be like, nah, you know, we're good now. I'm gonna not worry about like the money and we're just gonna make the thing that I want to make. Yeah. And that's where I hope it changes the game and wakes some people up to like, hey, just let people do their things. And like in the audience and if people love it, they'll come, especially in the horror film community. Cause that's the other thing. Oh, I don't remember the numbers for this. I wish I wrote it down, but their marketing budget for this was wildly low. Like most movies spend more than what this whole movie's budget was on marketing, and they didn't even come close to that.
Rudy, can I tell you? Because I just did stand-in for a promo for an Amazon movie. 5 stand-ins. We got paid, and I'll tell you how much we got paid. $500 for the day, 12 hours. There is at least a 30-person crew renting a studio for a promotional video for a movie. How much that would have been the entire like you and I could have made a feature for that. Yeah, bro, for 12 hours. I could not believe it. I was like, dude, the money just for this one video.
Yeah.
This one.
Yep. Like I wonder how much that catering budget was alone, right?
Dude, catering, crafty. Like what are you talking? Like it's insane. It's insane. Insane.
Yeah, I mean, no, you're right. It's totally insane. And I'm glad that he stuck to his guns and, you know, got this done. And I can't wait to see what comes next. And that's just the kind of stuff that I really admire. And, you know, I think you and I are in a certain place in our lives right now where there's a lot to consider with that kind of thing. And I just really appreciate that. Like in that interview, they asked him about, you know, like big life changes because of it. And he's just like, well, after the second movie, he's like, I was able to buy a house, you know, that was that. And they're telling him all this stuff. And he's like, at this point though, he's like, I don't need all that studio money. He's like, I'm 40 years old or 38, whatever. He's like, at this point, I'm good. He's like, I don't need to be rich and have a bitch. He's like, I just want to make cool movies and do my thing and make art and keep like, you know, doing this character. It's like, that's what matters, not all the other shit. You know, Damien Leone is a great filmmaker. I hope it keeps going. And I hope it doesn't just go on forever to the point where it just becomes kind of like, all right, you overstayed your welcome, you know?
Yeah.
But I guess we'll see. And it's nice to have another horror icon. And here's one thing I wanted to get back to before we like start wrapping up is, you know, you mentioned, so you saw it tonight and you said that 2 people walked out of your theater. So here's my thoughts on that. And this also came up in one of the interviews I was listening to with them. Cause that's the kind of marketing that's been done forever, right? Like they said that shit with Psycho, The Exorcist, probably The Omen, Last House on the Left, you know, keep repeating to yourself, it's only a movie.
It's only a movie.
Or, you know, but I guess it's legit. I don't know, based on what I read and saw, it seems like it was legit. And like, I think he said that he even experienced it at a theater where someone in like a reviewer or somebody like walked out or someone like passed out and like almost hurt themselves kind of thing. Cause he was like, yeah, I wasn't expecting that. Like, I thought it was all just kind of,
I mean, it is for continue.
Well, yeah, sorry. I'm going to wrap it up. But yeah, for me, cause I think if you're seeing Terrifier 3, then you know what you're getting into by now. Like, you already know if you're watching Terrifier 3. But now, since you mentioned that to me, I was thinking about it. I guess now, because of social media and all these articles coming out, and it's all over YouTube and movie talk, that there's probably
mainstream people are going to see this.
Yeah, just because they are like, oh, what's all the fuss about? Let's go see the crazy movies. So yeah. So tell me about that earlier today.
So Ben doesn't really watch horror movies, and I was like, listen, this is going to be like gory, but me and you, like, who are very, very, very like well versed in the horror universe. Like, gory is watching somebody like actually kill an animal on like Cannibal Holocaust. That's the stuff that we've seen. Yeah. People who don't really go see movies like this, and I don't think that there's been a movie like this in theaters for a very long time. So, you're like, oh, well, it can't be like it's playing at the movie theater. It can't be that bad, right? Mm-hmm. Right. So then people who don't really understand what kind of gory this is, I think they're very taken aback. But it's so popular right now. You're like, well, why are all these people going to see it? Well, I don't know what to tell you, but I don't know. I don't know how to explain it, but I think that everybody's like, oh yeah, a new horror movie. It's Halloween. Let's go see that scary movie. Right. And then, it was two girls and they were like, fuck this. And they walked out.
What part did they walk out on?
Oh gosh. I'm trying to remember because I want to say it was the Santa Claus part, but I'm trying to think of what kill was after the mall.
Maybe it may have been the shower scene. Actually,
it might have been
that's probably the one.
I think it actually was the shower scene because I was trying to remember. Because I remember I looked at Ben and I was like, "I'm sorry," because he just kept saying the entire time.
That's like halfway through though, or like 2/3 of the way through though.
That's the thing. I feel like it was earlier. I'm pretty sure it was the scene. No, I think it was
when she's cutting herself with the glass or the whatever. And
oh God. Yes. Oh my God. That was the part where she took the thing and there's like,
yeah.
At the very big. Yes. That was the part. I was like, what part was it? And I feel like I'm not thinking about that part because that part was just so, uncomfortable and weird and gross, but it was funny at the end. And I'm like, bro, nobody gets, but then I think about it. I'm like, are they watching this? And they're like, they didn't leave while she was doing it. They left after Art did the tisk tisk thing. And I'm like, are they offended that they're making like jokes about it and everybody's laughing? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Well, I'm sure it was a little bit of everything up to that point, and that was just
because then all the blood's gushing on the ground, and everybody was like, "Oh my gosh!"
We know what this movie is now. Yeah, I mean that does make sense, and I guess it's like the human nature thing, right? Of most people, it's like you tell them not to do that thing, and the first thing they want to go do is do that thing. Mm-hmm. And I think when you hear, because I kind of fall into that sometimes. So I think we all do, especially when it comes to movies and you want to find something good where everyone's talking about, hey, there's this crazy thing happens in this movie. But when you hear it enough, you're like, all right, now I kind of want to see what's up.
Yeah.
I mean, that was essentially me with the first, that's kind of how I got into seeing Terrifier. Kind of. Because, because I remember when the second one was coming out, like seeing the images of the clown and just hearing little rumbles about it. And again, this is all on social media. They're YouTube, just seeing the image, like the image of Art and not really knowing anything about it. And even like scrolling through streaming and all that. And you see, again, the image, like I'm just familiar. And, all right, Terrifier, I've heard the name. And then it just took one guy I work with to be like, yo, are you going to see Terrifier 2? Like, oh, you got to see it, man. Did this gesture. I'm like, yeah, I don't know. Maybe I will watch it. And just this is me with movies. Like that night, I was like, I'm going to go see it. It was after work. I was like, yeah, I'm going to go get a bite and go watch, Oh, no. Yeah. I went to Sally's place and I rented the first Terrifier. And yeah, that was that. And then the next day I was like, all right, I'm gonna go see Terrifier.
That's just
2.
history.
Yeah. That's where we're at. So I guess it's kind of like that. It's the word of mouth, which is, again, going back to what a great way to sell tickets though too, right? Because yeah, you hear that stuff. People are walking out in the first 10 minutes. The only problem is then for me, I have to try and be like, all right, don't get like overhyped on this, because now I'm curious and I already know because I've seen the first 2 movies. So I'm like, whoa, how crazy is the first 10 minutes going to be that this is what everyone's talking about?
Bad.
And really, it's only, to me, I think the moment is when he kills the kid off screen. I think that's the moment. People are very extra sensitive to that.
People were, yes.
Yeah.
But then
that was a gasp moment in the theater,
Yeah.
And then when it's like, her getting a knife through the head or whatever, it's like, oh, here we go,
Oh, yeah. But man, I don't know, man, because peeling that head and stuff, I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, that one was that was a really gnarly one. That reminds me of have you ever seen Dead Alive? Like early Peter Jackson. Oh, you gotta watch this. So Dead Alive is probably still to this day the goriest movie I've ever seen. So,
no way, not after watching this tonight. Really?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, what's it called? I'm gonna
Dead Alive. It's Peter Jackson, the dude who did Lord of the Rings and shit. So it's like a funny like zombie kind of comedy, low budget thing, but there's also a face peeling scene in there where like a zombie is pulling someone in 2 directions and they grab the dude by the hair and like the skin just like peels off kind of like that.
Oh my
God. And the effect looks just as good. No, watch it. It's a fun one. It's a goofy movie. It's like not serious at all, but it's still super gory.
See,
like he fights a bunch of zombies with a lawnmower, dude. Like he gets a lawnmower and it's just,
oh my God.
You gotta watch it. You gotta watch it.
When it's going to be gory and crazy like that, it has to have something to take the edge off. Like at the end when he was trying to strangle her with the intestines and she bites through it.
Yeah,
and then he smacks her on the back with it because he's so mad. I'm like, little parts, like you got to break it up because these are really dark, horrific movies, but they're not because, and I think that's kind of also like, I'll probably wrap it up, but like, that's also the charm that they are low budget. You can tell it's a movie. You know what I mean? Like stuff like that to kind of like little things here and there to kind of take you to remind you like this isn't real. You guys can like watch this and it's okay. Yeah.
And and there's a fantasy element too, right? It's like supernatural. And come on, there's a magical sword and shit. Like,
there's a magical sword, people. The gates of hell opened up.
Yeah.
She's going down there next. You can't say that this is a documentary, guys. Somebody's going to watch this and open up the gates of hell. Really? Because nobody's done it yet. So.
I just cannot wait to find out exactly what the thing is with her dad and that connection. And
me too.
It seemed like we were going to get there and then we didn't quite get there. But
I wonder what's going to happen. This is a big thing I do with this kind of stuff. I'm like, well, she just got out of the insane asylum. Are they going to think it's her that killed everybody?
Yeah.
How are they going to open up the next movie? Is she going to be in jail? Where is she going to be? What's going to go on? They have to, you know what I mean? Because Art's gone. The other girl just dissolved into the floor.
Yeah.
The gates of hell are gone too.
Yeah.
And so is the magic knife. So how is she going to get down there?
Yeah.
I can't wait. I'm pretty excited to see.
Yeah. He said too that he's got like a lot of ideas and shit that there's, some places it's going to go for sure. So I'm stoked and I love that. And it's also brilliant to, hey, we're going to leave this even more open-ended than the second one. Like I said, like I literally have more questions now than I did before.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm stoked. And, I did want to get back again real quick to the whole marketing thing. Like I don't remember the numbers, like I said, but a wildly low marketing budget, which is just as impressive, if not more impressive than like the overall budget. The fact that bare minimum marketing and people still came out in droves to see this.
Yeah.
And I think so much of that is word of mouth and just like, again, the horror community, right? Like the horror community is a big thing when they really like something.
100%.
Like it could make everything. And yeah, I just think that's incredible. And it's such an inspiration. And it just, again, reminds us all that we're in a time now where it's like, hey, the LA film industry is fucking dying over here. And it's like killing itself.
Yeah, dude. They really are.
But we're in the age of, there's this documentary Side by Side, or I think it was that one, but maybe something else, but Scorsese. And this was already like 10 or 15 years ago. But, Martin Scorsese gets a question of like, people starting out, blah, blah, the usual one. And he's like, don't try to be a part of like whatever the film industry is. Just make your own industry. Just do it. Like we're at that point now. You just got to do it. And I think this is one of those really great examples of that. Like no studio backing, no wildly crazy marketing budget, no, none of that. Just a good idea and a passionate team of people behind it and a, creative storyteller. And yeah, I love it. And that's, for all the gore and scares and craziness, it's, I think that's what resonates with me most. It's not just a crazy movie where people are getting bleach poured on their filleted flesh and chainsaw through the ass or whatever. It's, all this other stuff I'm talking about. Like that's what really kind of gets me.
100%.
Like the craft behind it. That's the most meaningful. Yeah, that's a good way to wrap this up.
That's where the appreciation comes from.
Yeah. Oh man. Dang. Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween, guys.
Well, yeah. All right. We're here. Carissa, I guess here's a wacky question for you while we're at it. I guess before I ask, do you have any final thoughts on the movie? Anything else you want to say?
Listen,
I think I'm good on it.
Yeah, I guess my last thing, it's this, everybody's got to remember, because I know everybody's going to be like, you're watching this stuff. And my mom, my family, my mom is like really religious. And she's like, how can you watch this? This is so bad. Listen, this stuff is for entertainment purposes. You guys, these are movies. These are ridiculous, above crazy, crazy movies. And you got to enjoy them for what they are. And I feel like after, that whole thing with, I said with Terrifier 1, but man, like now they're letting like art really breathe with this character in 2 and 3. It really just makes it like, it's just so fun. Like, it's just, I enjoy these movies for what they are wholeheartedly. Do I think I'll watch it again? I don't know. It was really gory and kind of crazy, but the feeling that you get with this movie, the roller coaster of like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm watching this, to where Art's, washing the dish and being like naughty. Like, I think the juxtaposition of everything and the roller coaster and how these movies make you feel, like that's filmmaking, baby. That's what it's about, to make you feel something. Yeah. This movie, I think, does such a great job with getting like your emotions up and down and laughing and cringing and being like, oh my gosh. And you leave like exhilarated because you don't even know what the hell you just watched, but it made you feel a lot of things.
Yeah.
So
definitely memorable, right? Like
exactly.
You're not going to walk away being like, well, okay, I guess that was,
exactly.
Movie, and then you're going to forget about it. What movie did we
see last week? No, bitch. You know what you
happening.
Saw. Exactly. So I can appreciate the filmmaking thing from that perspective 100%. I think these are so fun for like low budget movies. And yeah, I think I can't wait to see how he's going to open up the next one. I'm so excited.
Yeah. Props to the cast and crew of the Terrifier series.
Well done.
So I was going to ask real quick, I'm looking through the Drinks in a Movie pod Instagram here. And of the movies we've covered this season, it looks like in total it's going to be, I don't know, but we covered Last House on the Left, Wes Craven, and its remake, The Virgin Spring by Ingmar Bergman, All Hallows Eve, City of the Living Dead, The Beyond, Terrifier 1, 2, and now 3. And then we also covered, what did we do yesterday? The House by the Cemetery. Now, I could have sworn, dude, it felt like we recorded so many movies this month and saying it out loud and looking at the Instagram. It's like we barely did anything.
Wait, there's no way. I felt like
that's all we've done. And that was me like putting out like 2 episodes a week for the first couple weeks of the month.
That makes no sense.
Yeah.
This has to be a time loop. Some weird. We entered like a different whatever. There's no way.
Like I'm looking through the Instagram and I was like scrolling down and I was like, oh, we're just like, that's all we did. I
could have sworn we did like 30. I thought we did one every day. Honestly, I'm like, wait, what are you talking about?
That's how it felt. Shit. But I guess this season of those films we have talked about, what is your favorite or maybe a new one you're glad you saw for the first time? Because I think most of them were new for you, right?
Yeah, a lot of them were new for me.
I think everything except All Hallows Eve and the Last House remake.
Yeah. Yep. All Hallows Eve. Yep. Because All Hallows Eve was the introduction to art. Man. Okay. So I love Terrifier 2. I was not expecting to like Terrifier 2. I love that movie. I loved it. I like that one more than I think Terrifier 3, believe it or not. I really, really, really liked it.
That seems to be the consensus from other people I've heard talking about, is that part 2 is like still the best one. I think, I mean, I've only seen part 3 once so far, but that's my favorite for now. Definitely.
Wait,
like
part 3?
Part 3 for sure.
Okay. I'm into that. And then runner up would probably be House Next to the Graveyard.
House by the Cemetery?
House by the Cemetery. Yeah. That one's runner up. I like The Beyond, and I think my like least favorite would be, and I hate to say this, but like probably the original. Actually, no. You know what? I loved the remake of Last House on the Left. I loved that one. Okay. Loved it. The original, I was not too fond of. But the remake, I loved. I loved it. Yeah. How about you?
Right on.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think I've seen all these before, except
whatever.
Yeah. Well, no, actually, House by the Cemetery, that was the first watch. So was Terrifier 3, obviously. But yeah, of this season, I mean, you know, I love I guess it's got to be Terrifier 3. That has to be the one, because that's like the new one for me. And it's definitely not. I definitely like it more than House by the Cemetery for sure. So I'm going to say Terrifier 3.
Terrifier 3, definitely the winner.
Yeah.
Terrifier 2 for me, baby. That one, I was scared to watch it, but that one definitely takes the cake.
Hell yeah. Well, dang. All right. I mean, that's a wrap on the Halloween season again. I mean, we still have 10 more days of October, so maybe there's a possibility we'll get another movie in, but
I think we should do the one I was telling you about. I think we should do Mads.
Mads, if I can see it. I feel like I owe it to you to do one for you.
You have to. Just do just this one, Rudy, just this one.
Okay.
Man.
I wonder if I can rent it on YouTube or something.
I'll give you I have Shudder.
All right. Yeah. All right. I'll figure it out. I've got less than a week.
Yeah. Listen, I'm sending you the login. You're going to watch it tomorrow, whether you like it or not. We're doing it.
All right.
It's great.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'll try to get that in, I think, because you watch you're always watching like my picks and shit.
I watched Cannibal Holocaust for you, bro. Don't even. True. You owe me.
Yeah. No, I did watch the trailer for Mads and I'm like, okay, this seems pretty, like, just reading the plot. I was like, fuck, that's already a good idea. Like, just the plot alone. I don't even know what it's about yet, but just the basic.
You're going to watch it. Rudy,
line.
You're going to get so mad. I got so mad. I was like, we should have done this.
Well, I was watching Rope earlier by Alfred Hitchcock, which is also like a one take kind of thing, but yeah, we'll see.
Brilliant.
Yeah. So we'll see if we can get Mads in, but that being, and I guess if we do get it in, then you're going to hear it before you even hear this. So whatever. But yeah, everyone, thanks for listening once again. Happy Halloween. We're going to call this the finale of season 6 of the podcast, which has been like a 2-year long season because I don't really pay attention. Usually like every summer when I go on tours when I take a break, but this time I just kind of kept it going. So I think it's been like 2 years that I've been in season 6. You know, I don't follow an actual schedule. It just whenever I feel like I'm tired and I need a break. But that being said, I'm lining up hopefully a couple cool special podcast guests when I come back. So I'm going to take November off for at least a few weeks. I do want to do Thanksgiving, Eli Roth's Thanksgiving. It's been a year. So we didn't do it last year when it came out. I want to do it a year later now, see what's good. And I know that New Beverly's going to play it at some point in November. So maybe I'll try to catch it on the big screen again and we can talk about that. But yeah, going to be on a little bit of a hiatus for a few weeks. Yeah. If there is any requests or feedback, here's something I don't say enough, listeners. If you've made it this far, I'm really trying to step up the game here as much as I can. It's just really hard to do this solo and all that stuff. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. But if there's any feedback, send an email, drinksandammoviepod@gmail.com, or leave a comment on the Instagram, or even a review on, Spotify, Apple, wherever you do all your podcast stuff. Rate it, leave a review, do all that bullshit. Like the videos, go to the YouTube, watch all the stuff. And if subscribe, all that. And if there is feedback, do we not talk about the movies enough? Do we talk about them too long? Do you want more different types of spirits? Do you want less spirit talk? Do you want
like a walkthrough of the movie so you don't have to watch it if you're too scared to watch Terrifier 3? Because we'll hold your hand and walk you through it if you want.
Yeah, that's what we used to do. And I remember I'm trying to get away from that, but I remember we used to go like beat by beat, and then I
know.
Hell yeah. But, feedback to improve the show. I'm going to try to, do more different types of content and diversify a little bit, time permitting. So if there's anywhere I should focus my energy a little more or less, feel free to let me know. Because all right. So I guess that's that. I will see you all in late November, early December, or something like that. Cheers.
Woo! Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween. Thank you for listening to the Drinks and a Movie podcast. You can now find us on Instagram at Drinks and a Movie Pod, where we'll be posting photos from all the various films that we discuss. You can also email us at drinksandamoviepod@gmail.com. Please rate, review, and subscribe, and thank you for listening.